Who here considers themselves a leader?
I knew that to maintain my integrity as a leader,
Characteristics of leaders
I had to take responsibility.
who are thriving and what they do differently.
Welcome to the Everyday School Leadership Supported podcast series. My name is Fran Palukai, and in this series, I speak with school leaders from across Europe about a variety of topics based on research cards developed by Loes van Wessem, Rieneke Pruis, and others. These research cards function as practical tools that you can use to tackle everyday challenges within your organization.
Welcome, everyone, to this podcast episode. I am joined today by Luca and Katarina, and we are going to talk about how to involve parents also in the teaching of the children and how to create the environment in such a way that the parents are also involved. And Katarina, you asked to discuss this subject, so maybe you can start with saying, why is this subject so important to you?
Yes, it is very important because after the pandemic, we saw that parents avoided coming to school and taking any interest at their children's education. So it's a very challenging matter to us, very important, because if you think about it, children spend 15% of their time at school and the rest of it is mainly with their families, extended families and parents. So they get most of what they learn, how they think, their beliefs, their perceptions from their parents. So it's of utmost importance, I think, to involve them in educating their children.
And is there any particular way that you involve parents personally?
We've sent them a questionnaire and we've asked them things concerning why they sent their children to our school. Our school is a general education school, it's not a vocational one. And why do they prefer our school? Is it the head teacher, the teachers, the building? How could we improve our communication? And if they will be interested in taking part in other actions of a social identity, character, and be involved in all the school life. And not many of them responded, but at least it was a beginning. And so we started planning things that would bring parents to school, not only to discuss the academic achievements of their children, but also how could we train their children acquiring life skills and becoming completed personalities and good citizens of tomorrow.
I can imagine that for teachers or for a school that only have limited resources available, it's maybe quite a task to also have to involve parents. So do you have any ideas on how to do that with limited time and energy?
Okay, we also involved local authorities. For example, there is an association that donates blood. And we involved our students mainly informing them. And we also invited their parents to become informed about their actions and organize blood donation. And also we brought psychologists to talk about teenagers' psychology and anxiety and how to deal with stress. So we started educating the parents as well in a way to approach them and to communicate with them and bring them back to school.
So education and also part community building. Luca, what do you think? How should parents be involved in the education? Should they be involved in the education first of all, and then in what way should they be involved?
Thank you for the question. I have been working in the field of parental engagement for the past 7 years. And I think a crucial starting point is the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child that clearly defines that education is a responsibility of the parents, which means that the school is basically just the form of how this responsibility is being carried out. But the involvement of the parents, actually also proven by research, in their children's education has such a significant importance on not only their school performance in an academic way, but also their well-being, their connection with their parents. The school is the professional educational center and the teachers are the professional educators. So what is really important is that they are doing the first step towards the parents and they are the ones inviting them. And we hear very often from schools that they cannot reach the parents or there are some groups that are hard to reach. But if we refer back to Janet Goodall, who's a really important researcher in the field of parental engagement, there are no hard to reach parents. There are parents who were not yet reached by the school because the school were not able to find the good channels. Very often the parents have bad experiences from their own school, and because of that, they don't feel that they are equal partners when they approach the school as a parent of their child. So what is super important from the point of view of the school is to ensure that this level of respect, this level of equality is felt by the parents. And when they go there, they are seen as the experts of their children, while the teacher is an expert of pedagogy. And together, with the involvement of the child as well, they can work together for the benefit of the children. I think another crucial point is that parental involvement need to go always hand in hand with child involvement. If we want to involve the parents, we also need to ensure that the children feel that this is about them and their parents need to be part of these discussions because only then can we see the whole picture. So our recommendation is for the schools to be open and to keep finding ways to reach every single family of every single child.
And do you have any maybe ideas of which channels are most difficult currently to use for schools and maybe how they can open those channels up to those parents that they are not able to reach?
Well, what we see is that very often the parents who are always active are the parents who belong to the same social class as the teachers. It's very often the white, middle class, majority speaking, majority religion belonging parents. Anybody outside of that, and that's not necessarily the low socioeconomical status, but also the very high socioeconomical status parents are falling outside of this group. What we see that, for example, if there are language barriers, the digital tools can be incredibly helpful by providing real-time translations with messages. We see that there needs to be a mixture of digital and in-person channels because although using digital channels, sending messages, sending translated WhatsApp messages, using social media can be very effective, but it cannot replace the personal significance of getting to know each other. Very often, it's a good tactic to take the meetings outside of the school because it can take away the pressure of those parents who have bad experiences to find a neutral, for example, community center or the park where the children can be there. It's also important to adapt to the time schedule of the parents. We cannot expect them to just leave from work. Very often in the case of working class parents, this is why they cannot show up because they need to be there at their workplaces. So it's very important for the school to know their parent community, and it's very important for the parents to understand the importance of them being involved. But I think it's crucial that it's always the school who needs to take the first step.
Is this something you recognize when you try to reach certain parents? Are there certain groups that fall out of the...
Fortunately, our students are of the same socioeconomic status, and we don't have minorities. There are some instances of different ethnic groups, but they have been born in Greece, so they have been raised as all Greek children. So we don't have many differences. The main problem is establishing trust, because as Luca said, they have bad experience, or they think that teachers that don't give the best marks, grades to their children have something personal with them. So we have to explain things and to let them see that we are just doing our job and we want to take the best out of their children and not create traumas and psychological problems and bad experiences. But we have a long way to go, because these problems existed before the pandemic, and it became worse. We have to start all over again. So the head teacher has a very crucial role in this. There has to be personal relationship. So parents must come to the school and discuss and express themselves and their fears and their needs and maybe their complaints even, and try to make something positive out of all this. Now, about the children, we don't have instances of quarrels and having negative climate in the classroom, but they're teenagers and they have ups and downs.
Yes.
They're a bit challenging as children. So I think they know we love them and we are doing our best to help them. But they're easily disappointed, they're easily worn out. And we have to work on this relationship every day.
You just mentioned that the school head has an important role to play in this. How would you describe the role of the school head? What should he or she do to stimulate
I think that
the involvement of parents?
The first thing that a head teacher has to do is maybe to persuade the parents to form parent council that is not too invasive in teaching matters, but that is active and that shows its interest and cooperates with the teachers and the head teacher. So first of all, the head teacher has to invite all of them and discuss and form a parent council that is always present and helps in whatever way it's possible. I think that's a good start. And as Luca said, a lot of discussion, a lot of personal time that has to devote from his own personal or her own personal time and discuss with their parents.
So if I may connect to that, I think there is a step before forming the parent councils. And I think as a head teacher, one of the crucial roles is to get the teachers on board and to make the teachers understand why is it important to work with the parents and how is it going to benefit the teacher's work and the student's life at the same time. Because I think unless that step is done and the teachers truly understand how it's going to benefit everybody in the school, it's not going to be as effective, because there might be a parent council, but if they are not taken seriously, if they are not considered as a valuable asset to the school, it's going to be for nothing. And a head teacher has this crucial role to influence the teacher body and to give this entryway to parents. And obviously it's going to differ within school systems. In some school systems, the head teacher is going to have the opportunities to have a lot of regulations in place that are going to allow more and more involvement of parents. In some other systems, because the system is so rigid, they are going to be the partners of parents and teachers to find the ways for collaboration, even when the laws might not allow it. Like, for example, how in Greece entering the school is not so obvious like it might be in some other countries.
Definitely. You're right, Luca, but I think the main problem in that, because the head teacher is the connection, the link between the parents and the teachers. The problem is that there are a lot of teachers of the old school in Greece. Teachers that mainly apply teacher-centered practices and techniques, and they're not ready to try something new. I think that's the main problem, and that's even more challenging than bringing parents to school. Yes, you're right. But if the parents come to school, I think teachers will see the positive energy bringing to the school and to their children, and they might reconsider. I don't know, maybe I'm an optimist, but I think one step from the one group will help the other group make one step further, meet somewhere in the middle.
Sometimes we need some optimism. So maybe before we round off, do you guys want to share any last statement, any last thing that's on your mind?
Well, I think my closing statement would be that if for anything this pandemic was good for, is to highlight that it is impossible to do education in a good way without the involvement of parents. And I think now more and more schools realize that the parents are an invaluable partner when it comes to schooling. And I think there is also a growing trend to finally recognize the informal education that the parents are providing for their children outside of the classroom. So I'm very hopeful, and I'm very optimistic to look forward to a future where we look at education as a whole, as a combination of informal and formal education, and we recognize everybody's invaluable input in this process. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. Pandemic was a turning point in many aspects of education, and I think that parents, if they feel that they are ahead, they become more cooperative, and things will improve in the near future, I think.
I agree. I think the children should be heard, the parents should be heard, the teachers should be heard. We all like to be heard.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you for all the people that have been hearing us, and thank you for joining me.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You can visit esha.org/headstart for more information on the research cards and the guests of this episode. This podcast was an ESHA production. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful day.